So I want to do a little time travel with our honored guests. To start now, Dr. Edith Eger is a psychotherapist who lives in San Diego. She lives in a heavenly place with beautiful views of the mountain and ocean. She has a private practice, and she helps women who have been abused, but mostly she helps military veterans who are suffering from PTSD. She not only helps them in therapy individually, but she goes to military bases everywhere to give speeches that are uplifting and inspiring. But the one break from a heavy work schedule is every Sunday night, her boyfriend, who's 93, comes and picks her up, and they go swing dancing every Sunday night. Because when Edie grew up, she was a dancer, actually a ballet dancer and a gymnast. So she's living in this heavenly, magical life. But now let's go back in time. It's May 19th, 1944. And what did you experience?
I experienced something that I was not prepared for. I was in a cattle car with my mother, my sister Magda, and we were separated, and my father said, Arbeit macht frei, it's not so bad, we're going to work and then we go home. Well, it wasn't that way at all. And I guess tonight is about looking at the expectation and reality, because when we are angry, we're not angry over what's happening, we're angry because our expectations are not being met. So today is the most wonderful day because this is the evening time of my life. And I can tell you that it's not what's happening, that Auschwitz, in November, I was very ill. I don't know if you knew about it, but I had a date with Deepak Chopra. So at 90, it's all about maintenance, you know. So I go to Nordstrom and I have my makeup done, and then I get up in the morning and I put this wonderful little Escada number on, and my friend picks me up, and we're in a car, and all of a sudden I have a terrible stomachache. And she said, we're not going to Deepak, I'm taking you to the hospital. I said, no way, I'm all dressed, you know, it took me 2 days to get ready. We have to go to see Deepak. But when I arrived to Deepak, I got more and more ill. So she took me to the hospital, and the surgeon said to me, no, I'm glad you're here, because if in an hour you wouldn't have showed up, you would have been dead. So I had this surgery, something with my small intestine. I don't want to get into it. So I woke up from my surgery, and nurses say to me, you're the most elegant woman we ever had. Your makeup is still on, you know. And but a few days later, my doctor, I was intubated, and they put this thing in my mouth. And a few days went by. It was very, very bad. I couldn't talk or do anything. And I asked my daughter, Marianne, to bring me a piece of paper, and I wrote down, I want to die happy. So the doctor comes and tells me that I'm going to take it out tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, and he says to me, you know, Edie, I just wanted to be sure I'm going to wait one more day. And I didn't know if I had one more day. I used up everything I could. And I didn't tell the doctor. And then I said to myself, I did it in Auschwitz. I will do it here. So that's why, you know, my name is not a shrink, but a stretch. And so what I learned today is wonderful, and I'm so glad that I am at the evening time in my life, and I hope to be a good role model to you, because you never regret what you do. It's what you don't do. So, and we don't grieve over what happened, but what didn't happen. So So when I arrived in Auschwitz and when we met, I didn't know who he was. That was the angel of death, Dr. Mengele.
Dr. Mengele, yes.
Yeah. And I never forgave myself. He asked, "Is this your mother or is this your sister?" And unfortunately, I said, "It's my mother." And then showed my mother to go this way, and my sister and I that way. And I followed my mom. He grabbed me. He said, "You're going to see your mother very soon. She's just going to take a shower." And promptly threw me on the other side, which meant life. So, and then I met with an inmate, and I said, "When will I see my mother?" And she pointed the chimney. Fire was coming out of the chimney, and said, "Your mother is burning there. You better talk about her in past tense." So the question is today, how can you find within you when nothing comes from the outside? The more you wait for someone to make you happy. And what I'm here today is for you to really be the beautiful young people who are compassionately learning how to listen, who give what is love. Love is time. I heard today so many words about how to listen compassionately, how to not judge anyone. So that's how I remember. Now my sister Magda is alive and well, and I just saw her. She lives in Baltimore, and she tells you that she's 96 years old, and I know that she's 97 years old. So talking about Hungarian women. So I don't know if I should go on a little bit more. I go a little bit more because here we were. I want to talk about the choice, because the more choice, the more options we have, the less we feel like a victim. We were completely shaven. Magda came to me with a little hair and asked me, "How do I look?" And I like to bring the there and then to the here and now, because what happened to me is not important. It's what I did with that I like to hopefully tell you. And I practiced psychology then. I was 16. Magda is 6 years older than I am, don't tell. So I had a choice, as you have a choice now. Whether you're going to pay attention to what you lost and what you don't have, or what is still here. And I became my sister's mirror. And instead of telling her the way she really looked, all naked, bald-headed, I told her, "Magda, you have beautiful eyes." And I didn't tell you when you had your hair all over the place. So this is what you do, precious heroes. You're pointing out the yeses, and yes, you can, and yes, I am. So I hope that tonight you go out with 3 yeses. Yes, I am, yes, I can, yes, I will. That night, Dr. Mengele came and wanted to be entertained, and the girls who knew that I was dancing for the president, and I did all the entertainment, and just volunteered me, and I ended up dancing for Dr. Mengele. When I was dancing, he was pointing out who to take to the gas chamber. And I actually began to pray, not for me, that I wouldn't be the next one. And when I was done, he gave me a piece of bread. So what we're talking about today, that it's cooperation, not competition and domination. And I was on the third on the top. It was cooperation, not domination. And we had all each other then, and all we have is each other now. So I shared my bread with the girls, and I want to also tell you that giving to someone other than yourself actually saved my life because I survived what is called today the Death March from Mauthausen to Gunskirchen. And when you stopped, you were shot right away. And I began to slow down because I began to become very, very ill. And the girls that I shared the bread with came and they formed an arm and carried me. They formed a chair so I wouldn't die. Isn't that amazing? That you come into people's lives, you precious heroes here. Because I'm the oldest, I'm 90, and last night I met the youngest who is still in her teens. Imagine how wonderful it is. And you and I are the ones who are going to tell you maybe a whole life is just one day because that morning sunshine doesn't come back. So Auschwitz was, I like to call it a discovery. Because...
Discovery.
Pardon me?
Discovery.
Discovery.
What
Discovery,
way?
Because what happens when nothing comes from the outside? I discovered my inner resources. How I was able to look inward, and this is what you heroes do. You're telling people about the way they can discover that whatever happened, just think about your ancestors. I'm sure my ancestors didn't have it as good as I do. And they made it. And I carry that blood today. We carry good blood here. And the best thing you can do is to honor those people who is putting you here, that you are saving lives because you're showing up for them. So Auschwitz was difficult because we never knew what's going to happen next. Stress is good. You know, Hans Selye tells us that anything that happens to us that is stress-producing, we do two things, either fight or flee. I couldn't fight because if I attacked the guard, I would have been shot, and many people did. I couldn't flee because if I would have touched the barbed wires, I would have been electrocuted. And yes, I saw the blue body. So I learned how to somehow flow and make the discomfort so that even in November, when I didn't know I had another day, Auschwitz gave me an opportunity to discover that the Nazis could throw me in a gas chamber. I had no power over that. They would beat me and they would torture me, but they could never, ever murder my spirit. So that's what I want to bring tonight, that spirit that I'm here to tell you, yes, you are, and you go out from here by yes, I am, yes, I can, and yes, I will, because I ask myself, how do I want to be remembered? And I want to be remembered that I do everything in my power, that your children and grandchildren, wherever in the world you are, will never, ever experience what I did. And I want to thank you for being the future and being the ambassadors for peace and goodwill. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Yes, you are. Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Beautiful. You are the future. God love you. Thank you.
Okay, we're only halfway there. So Edie and I have known each other for more than 20 years. I invited her to my class at Stanford, and John Boyd, who is my graduate student, still remembers that as the most moving day in his life as a student. And since then, we've been in various conferences, and she has all these stories, and I say, we really should write it down, because it's nice to give lectures, but it's a one-time thing. It's only for this little audience, and your stories should be, heard around the world. And so we talked about, yes, we should do a book, and there have been no books written by women about Auschwitz, about the concentration camps. We know about Viktor Frankl, but he was actually an older clinical psychologist. And so she said, yes, we should do it. And we went back and forth, and I wrote some outlines. And I said, no, we really have to get your voice somehow. And fortunately, another student of mine, Doug Abrams, who has he's a literary agent, has a company called Ideas Architect. He put one of his best writers to spend a year right with you, Esme.
Yeah.
Going, overhearing her therapy sessions, going to all of her talks, and then writing an outline. And then finally, it took a couple of years, right?
Oh my God, people ask me, how long did it take you? And I say a lifetime.
A lifetime.
A lifetime, and a lot of crying. And I like to talk about, really, truly, that you are guiding people to do three things: to grieve, to feel, and to heal. Because you cannot heal what you don't feel. There is no forgiveness without rage. We're not covering garlic with chocolate. And I heard it so beautifully saying that don't tell somebody to cheer up, No way, no how. I just really learn how to recognize that we don't grieve over what happened, we grieve over what didn't happen. So when my granddaughter, can I talk really? When my granddaughter was born, Lindsay Catherine, who is a professor of psychology today at the University of Chicago, so is my daughter, a psychologist in New York. When Lindsay was born, the pediatrician said, this little girl is very flexible, she might become a ballerina. And I said, great, now I can die, now I have 3 generations. And Lindsay did become a little ballerina. She went to a wonderful school, the Bishops in La Jolla. She asked me to buy her a dress. And of course, I'm the biggest sucker. I buy her a wonderful, I think it was a Laura Ashley. And I go home, and out of the blue, I'm crying. The word understand is very academic. I didn't understand, why am I crying? I just bought Lindsay a dress. And I realized that I didn't cry because Lindsay went to a dance. I cried because I never went to a dance. You, precious heroes, give people an opportunity to really recognize that grieving is healing, because what comes out of your body doesn't make you ill. What stays in there does. So you may not realize that you're doing the healings. The doctors can do the curing, the medicine is there, but I am on the faculty at the University of California in San Diego, and I beg them, do not call grief depression. It's most people suffer from unresolved grief. Not what happened, but what didn't happen. Yeah.
So her book is called The Choice, and
if I can do it, you can do it.
So she's excited about it because it's the best.
Because he told me, because you told me, my precious one, you said to me, the people who survived the Holocaust and who are known are all men. Yeah. And I want you to have a female voice, and you're the one I can thank you in public. Well, that book is great. Yes, sir.
So why did you choose that title? Because again, you would think the title should have something about the Holocaust, Auschwitz, but The Choice, it seems like a strange title. Why did you choose that title?
Because to me, people who are in black and white mentality, all or nothing, life or death, either or, were not very good survivors in Auschwitz. You see, I think flexibility is what is very important, and to be able to switch gears, if that doesn't work, I like to also recognize someone who talked a lot about giving up words like you should, you must, you have to, What we have to do in life are without which we cannot survive, of course. We need to breathe and eliminate and so on. But if your mother doesn't thank you for the birthday present, it doesn't mean that you're going to be depressed or what you should. I think it's very important for parents, to really see how the child can go into the world and make it without the parents. Because the more you spoil the children, those were the first ones to die in Auschwitz. And I think that's a good definition of a victim. When you're waiting for someone to do it for you, or someone who makes you happy. And I think that kind of dependency breeds depression.
So in Auschwitz, what was some of the choices you had to make?
The choices were very limited. We were getting up 4 o'clock. We stood in what are called the appel, and we had to learn very quickly the rules. We were told if you're not feeling well, you can stay behind, and they're going to take you to the hospital. There was no hospital. There was only the gas chamber. We held on to each other, never staying behind. So we never knew what's going to happen, and that's why I'm saying stress is good, but distress is when you don't know what's going to happen next. And we took a shower. We never knew whether it's going to come out or gas. I stood in line to get my tattoo in December. I don't have any because I was told I'm going to the gas chamber because they don't want to waste the ink on me.
Didn't want to waste the ink.
They didn't want to waste the ink on me. And I know you asked me the last time. We were separated and Magda was on this pile, I was in the other pile. And I knew that Magda had to be with me because I gave her my bread because she suffered from hunger much more than I did. So I started to do cartwheels. I remember I told you, and Magda was with me. So I was out of Auschwitz December 1944. I became a slave laborer. And
What does that mean, a slave laborer?
We carried ammunition on the top of a train with striped uniforms, thinking that the British wouldn't bomb, but they bombed anyway. Many girls died around me. So the bomb comes, the train stops, they open the door, I'm the first one to run, because I'm a gymnast, and then Magda was not with me. So in the middle of the bombing, I ran back, Magda fell. And she hurt herself, and I saw some political prisoners eating. And I'm very ashamed to tell you, I chewed up my sister because she was the pretty one, the sexy one. And I said, no, look how you look now that you can't even go and ask for some food. It didn't occur to me that I could ask, because I was told by my mother, I'm glad you have brains because you have no looks. And my sisters blindfolded me, and they took me for a walk because I was cross-eyed. And so I am begging, especially in the schools, don't allow anyone define who you are because you're beautiful, because God doesn't make junk. So I just came from a school, and the word got around that the Holocaust didn't exist. So I show up and let them know about what love is and what happens when you think of a lie and then you repeat it, and people believe it. Yeah.
Is there any final messages you want to give to the young people in the audience?
The message I give you is hope. I think we are basically good. We learned today that you're not born with hate. You learn to hate. And see how you can truly stay in school I can give you my preaching all over the place and get rid of that texting and this and that. And I am going to tell you that life is difficult. Look up your birth certificate. It doesn't see that it's easy. Life is not easy. There is no guarantee. There is no certainty. There is probability. So the more you become a good parent to you, and the more you get up in the morning and you look in the mirror and say, I love me, because self-love is self-care, it's not narcissistic. Narcissistic people, I have them as patients, they don't like themselves. So my message to you is, be a good mommy to you, because God gave us temptation. You know why? So you can practice the freedom of choice. There is sex, there are drugs all over the place. It's up to you when you get up in the morning, and you want to have a kind of a day that the evening you're going to feel satisfied that you were able to give people the time that you have. So lots of things that happening with this wonderful man who created this whole concept. I always tell him that he's like Picasso. I'm waiting, when is his next stage going to be? Because I met him way back when, we talked about cognitive therapy and behaviors and all that stuff. And now he's all over the world showing people that love conquers all.
So we're about to finish our session today. As great as it was today, tomorrow promises to be even better. But I think I'm going to violate one of Matt's rules and say, any of the young people who would like to come up on the stage to meet Edie should do it now. Thank you so much.
The Hero Roundtables are the global events that ask the question, what is a hero? You've just seen one hero talk. To find more and join the conversation, visit our website or social media.